What's going on, everyone? Welcome to QVO Games. My name is Juan. Thank you for being here. I appreciate it so much. This video is going to be about the games coming to retail the week of January 15th. We have 6 games, 1 update from a previous game that I was excited for that's coming out this week. And we also have a game from Japan that is being translated into English and can be played now with English rules and English gameplay here in the US. Really excited about that. They've been doing that a lot lately, honestly. So this one might be... It's definitely a new one coming out this week in the US, of course, but I'd like to see that, right? I like the fact that we're getting some Japanese games being translated, even any other language games being translated into like English and having us be able to enjoy that. I mean, I can play games in Spanish as well, Spanish and English, but besides the point, let's get this video going, yeah? Games coming to retail. Keep in mind, I am covering the games coming to retail in the US specifically. Therefore, there may be games that have already been released in other regions of the world. So if that is a thing and you see a game that maybe someone picked up at Essen, maybe you see content about it because a content creator got a preview copy, that is definitely possible. We're covering games that come into retail in the US. There is still a global shipping crisis going on. Therefore, some of these games may be delayed. And if they are delayed, I will make sure to update you of the new release date for the game. I'll tell you the week of the new release date of the game's release, right? The release week. Let's get this video going. Let's get these games showcased. Coming up first with an update from Hachette. 0 to 100. 0 to 100. It's a party game, honestly. And I love ice-breaking party games. Games where like you play them to kind of break the ice a little bit. Maybe it's like a new crowd or someone like maybe it's a new game group or you invited someone new to the game group. You got to kind of get them accustomed to like the energy or the playfulness of the group. I love party games for that, and I think 0 to 100 would do that really well. So Hachette Board Games and Scorpion Mask. I forgot to mention Scorpion Mask and Hachette Board Games. And this game's coming, it's being updated now to January 17th. It's coming out January 17th, and it's a pretty fun game. It's almost like trivia, right? So it's going to ask you a question, like how big... How tall is... This is just like a rant. I don't even know if this question's included in the game. Honestly, I think we probably find a question here somewhere. Let's check out this one here. There we go. So, what was the maximum speed in kilometers to hours of the 1908 Ford Model T? So, there's going to be a number, 0 to 100, and you're going to have cards that you have as a team, and you're trying to play them out to match that number. And people are guessing, like, it would be, this is the list number or that number. And whoever has the closest answer is the one who kind of gets rid of their cards. The first person to get rid of the first team to get rid of most of their cards wins the game. I think that's kind of fun and exciting. I think that's really fun, a different way to do trivia. When I play trivia, I'm not very good. I know I can't remember a bunch of random facts about different things. I know a lot about board games, some anime, and like video games, right? There's specific things I focus on to memorize. So sometimes trivia can be difficult for me since I'm not quick to pick up and store a bunch of different things. I usually hyper-focus and learn one thing. So this does half the job for me where I'm just like, okay, deduction here. What exactly would be 75 be closest to with everything I have here? Closest number wins. It's a little weird because there's no exact answer, but I do enjoy this and this concept. I'm really excited to try this game out when it shows up. And I'm really, really excited to hopefully present this and use this on new gamers as well, to kind of get them into the spirit and introduce people to board games maybe slowly, and I think these games do a good job with that. This is going to be 0 to 100 coming out January 17th. It is an update. It was delayed from previously. Coming up next is going to be Dungeons & Dragons, the Yawning Portal, coming out on January 15th. And it's going to be from Hasbro Plus and Avalon Hill. Hasbro Plus, I'm not going to get into that right now. Avalon Hill, right? So, Dungeons & Dragons. Who doesn't know about Dungeons & Dragons after like all the debacle and this stuff going on right now? But this board game is a port over, right? It has a lot of the theme from Dungeons & Dragons involved with the game. And the game itself is a order, like kind of like an order style game. You're going to have different orders to complete, and you're going to have cards in your hand and different ways to collect different chips and stuff on the board to try to complete those orders for the heroes. You are essentially a server at like the tavern. You know, like every D&D session starts, all the adventures meet in a tavern, they start in a bar. This is basically that. You're a server in that bar, and you are providing drinks and orders to different heroes, getting tips, basically like tips to get points every time you do an order. It's going to be Dungeons & Dragons theme. They consider like a family style game where you can kind of like introduce people into Dungeons & Dragons. That's kind of iffy and weird because I feel like D&D or Dungeons & Dragons is just definitely like more theater than mind, but that's kind of how to describe the game. The game looks interesting. It's a strategy game, right? And I want to show you a little more pictures here. Let's see if I have a better picture here. That's pretty much the same. Yeah, so basically you're gonna have these components here. You're trying to match up with different cards that have orders on it, and the cards themselves are going to be points. They're gonna give you bits. That's the set of the game. There's plenty of games that do this already. I'm kind of excited to see maybe what this one brings to the table and see how much better, if it is better than previous games. This is going to be Dungeons and Dragons: The Yawning Portal, coming out January 18th. Coming up next is going to be Dungeons and Dragons Onslaught, coming out January 18th. It's going to be a D&D style game, yet again, having that world come into here, come into board games now, and you're going to be playing as two different, it's going to be a skirmish game, a D&D skirmish game. That is honestly very interesting. Skirmish games are pretty cool, and they have interesting themes and very fun thematic scenarios when like you're playing as this team and you're going up against this group of people, and they have thematically chosen abilities that kind of make sense. D&D is a good realm for that, so I hope they do a really good job on this, and it's going to be Onslaught core set. So you're playing as two different adventuring guilds, right? Adventuring gangs, and you're going in trying to outbeat the other gang on the skirmish as a skirmishing game. That is going to be extremely interesting. Like I said, D&D has a lot of premise for that because there's already so much lore and fantasy going on. This game, it's going to be pretty similar. You're going to have your units, your different teams, and you're going to have different abilities with like the asymmetry, and it's going to be a skirmish style game with different cards and abilities, and of course asymmetry. That's Dungeons and Dragons Onslaught. I'm excited to check it out. We'll see if it's going to be any good, and we'll check it out when it comes out. It's going to be coming out January 18th. Coming up next is going to be Flashback Zombie Kidz by Scorpion Mask and by Hashtag Board Games, coming out January 18th as well. January 19th, excuse me. January 19th it's coming out. And yeah, Flashback Zombie Kidz. So this game specifically is going to be an investigation style game, and you're going to be using pictures to kind of deduct a cooperative. You're going to be playing cooperatively. You're deducting a story, and you're going to be using pictures to deduct that story. Kind of figuring out like why did this person go down the slide? How did the zombies get past the schoolyard walls? You're answering those questions by looking at all these pictures, and you're trying to put it all together to find out what happened. The story was. It's more like a kids game. It's a kids game, and you can kind of see it as like a intro to like these bigger investigation style games or deduction style games where you're going and trying to solve a bigger mystery. It's going to be more for kids. It looks, like I said, it looks pretty interesting, and it looks like it can appeal to the smaller crowd, the younger audience. I like the art already, and like the concept alone, just trying to put pictures together. I think I would have a lot of children. My nephew specifically are like one of the biggest gamers in my life who I play games with. They are into games like this, but they have to be a little more straightforward because I think they're developing minds still. So one of the age group is definitely, it's going to be for age 7+. I feel like even my nephews would find this game's would rather play something else. So I just wonder how this is going to hold up. It's going to be Flashback Zombie Kidz, coming out January 19th. Coming up next is going to be a game I've been waiting for a long time, but I already have it, but I was waiting for you guys to grab it. Blood on the Clocktower. Now everybody can start purchasing it. The game is already available on their website, but now it's coming out to retail stores, and people are going to be able to purchase this game. Blood on the Clocktower. One of the best social deduction games I've played ever, and it was my number one game that came to retail last year. It was already online retail, so it's kind of now coming out to stores, and I'm kind of cheating on this one, but I had to mention it because I am such a big fan, and I love this game, the experience it provides. But on the Clocktower, you have a game master, and you have a group of people, and everyone has a different role developed from a scenario. You can make your own scenarios, or you can follow one of the pre-existing ones they have already included with the game. These scenarios can be like, for example, the demon can be an imp demon, right? And when he kills people at night, and that's kind of one of the most simple ones. And then the assistant can be like the Scarlet one, the Scarlet Letter, I think it's called, the Scarlet something. The Poisoner. This was the Poisoner. The Poisoner can poison people so someone doesn't wake up at night. Like, for example, a specific character did not use their ability that night, and they wake up and they look at you, they're like, well, why didn't I get to use my ability? And I can't, as the game master, right? I can't really tell them why that didn't happen. I can be like, it just happened because you can't get out of the game. But you, as the game master, know what is going on within the circle. And the reason why X person didn't use their ability was because they were poisoned by the Poisoner. And it's the assistant of the main demon. And there's a lot of different demons. There's a A lot of different demons, a lot of different scenarios. The variability is endless, and it's such a fun experience. I love playing this game. Ball in the Clocktower, pretty hefty price point. I wonder if it's going to be cheaper in retail. I haven't seen the price that retail stores are putting up for this, but it's $145 right now on their website, and it's coming out officially to retail on January 20th. I love this game. Blood on the Clocktower is a 10 out of 10 for me. Keep in mind, I don't want you to go buy it just to buy it. You definitely make sure you have the right group. I think this game plays well at like 7+ players, 8+ players, and getting that many players in a game sometimes for me can be very difficult. It's very specific situations where I can play. I've been very fortunate that the people I've played with love the game and want to play it again and again and again and want to meet up to play. That's the good part about that. Blood on the Clocktower. It's going to be coming out on January 20th, and it's a phenomenal game. I cannot wait for you guys to try it and let me know what you think. Photograph. This is an interesting one. So Photograph is being assisted. It's being distributed by Asmodee and Matago, along with Sashi and Sashi. So Sashi and Sashi is the Japanese publisher. I want to show you this as well, just to let you know, this game is kind of re-implemented, right? So it's Photograph, but it used to be called Wind the Film. I'm gonna go with Wind. It's not. I don't think it's Wind at all. Wind the Film. Wind the Film is going to be a photography style game, right? This is the old one. It's being implemented in English, called Photograph now. Interesting little hand management style game. You're going to have a lot of photography, right? The theme is that you're a photographer. You're going out with your little half camera, right? And you're taking pictures. And you're taking vertical pictures, and you're going to be collecting the pictures from the field there. You're going to have cards in your hand, but when you have cards in your hand, you can't like shuffle around and stuff. When you're collecting them, you have to like add them to specific places, and when you add them there, they can't be moved. You're trying to complete different photographic scoring conditions to put your pictures down and score those cards. I like hand management games, and this is definitely an interesting concept. This is the one I was talking about that's being ported from Japan to English now. That's awesome. We need more of that. I would love to have more games that are just kind of... I want to see there's other different games from other cultures or other places of the world. See how they do games, right? And this is kind of one of them. Photograph is going to be that one by Sashi and Sashi. Sashi and Sashi, by the way, does a lot of games. Like, they have a lot of Japanese games that are being ported over to English. I'm excited to cover more of those, hopefully, if they have them out. This is going to be Photograph. It's going to be coming out January 20th, and it's going to be an interesting one. It's a small box game, and it's going to be just cards and a hand management game. Looks interesting. I think it's fine. I find it very intriguing. Coming up next, Level 10 by Matago and Friends. So Matago is releasing Level 10. Level 10 is going to be there's a lot of the games like this already that I've seen already that I played. I do love the box art already, though. I think that's really... I like the fact that it looks like kind of like a Game Boy, I guess, or like an old retro console, handheld console, the Game Boy. But it's going to be Level 10, and it's going to be a game where you're playing cooperatively. You're playing cooperatively, and you're being silent about making a road for Lizzie. And Lizzie's going to be going through an adventure in order of the cards here. And your goal is to set the cards out in order with all the cards in your hand, but you can't talk. You can't talk and you can't say anything while you're putting the cards out, so everybody has to make sure they put them in strategically. And you're making Lizzie reach level 10, right? It's an 8-bit video game graphic. I am a sucker for that kind of stuff. I don't like 8-bit video games, but I love 8-bit videos. Like, I like 8-bit graphics. I love the graphics themselves. This is going to be level 10. It's going to be coming out January 20th by Matago. And that's it for this week. We have a fine selection of games. 0 to 100 is probably my top pick, this one. I am really excited for that game. The rest also look interesting. Blood on the Clocktower, you already know how I feel about that. I'm not going to keep enticing you to buy a very expensive game that you can only play when you have 7+ people at your house or you go to a group. But these games all look great. If you like any of these games, if you want to see more of these games, please don't hesitate to subscribe or comment, drop a like. Helps the channel, helps us grow and get more information out there. Hopefully publishers see these videos more and we can get more games showcased on here. I only showcase games that I see exact release dates for and I can pinpoint, or I can kind of like know that the week it's releasing is that week. I'll be like, oh, it's coming out this week, but not exactly the date. Keep that in mind as well. So yeah, thank you for watching the video. I appreciate it. And if you made it this far, that's awesome. I really appreciate the fact that you're sitting here just watching me talk and present these games to you. If you want to see more of these videos, please subscribe or comment, drop a like. Really helps the channel a lot. Helps me know that I'm doing a great job. Thank you so much. Have a great one.